Welcome to Dear Sandy. I'm Sandy Galiff, a member of the New York State Assembly representing parts of Northern Westchester and parts of Putnam County. And today we're going to talk a little bit about what's happening with the Cornell Cooperative Extension. And some people may think of it as 4-H, but I'm really excited to have the new executive director of the Putnam County Cooperative Extension, Stefanie Hubert. Welcome.
Thank you.
And you have been, I guess, the new executive director for about 3/4 of a year or something like that?
Actually, I just finished my first quarter. I started officially in January 1st of this year. So I'm actually the 5th executive director for Putnam County. And prior to that, I worked at the Orange County Cooperative Extension.
So we have this, tell us about the Cooperative Extension. I believe they're all over the state of New York.
Sure. So actually, Cornell Cooperative Extension has one association in every county within New York State. And then the extension agencies are part of a national cooperative extension for which there's at least one land-grant university in every state.
Mm-hmm. So our land-grant university is Cornell University up in Ithaca.
That's correct. That's correct. And we're a little unique in the sense that Cornell University receives both public and private funding. So
right, well, because I know in our state budget we actually have public funding to go to cooperative extension and Cornell Cooperative Extension.
That's correct. That's our $224 and it comes in through the SUNY system. That's exactly correct.
Right. And how long has the Putnam County Cooperative Extension been in existence?
It's been in existence since 1944. So it's one of the younger cooperative extension associations within New York State. But since 1944, we've managed to continue a strong and unique collaboration with Putnam County government. So we're very, very pleased that our services and the programs that we offer are embraced not only by the Putnam County government, but also by our constituents that live in Putnam County.
So you're in Putnam. I also have Westchester in my district, and they also have a cooperative extension.
That's correct. That's correct. You know, each of the extension associations look at who the demographics are within their county, and so programming can look a little bit different depending on which county you live in. In Putnam County, we concentrate on 4-H programming as well as horticulture and natural resources. And so in Orange County, for instance, where I came from, we also had family consumer sciences in addition to 4-H and agriculture. And in Westchester, you also have a huge 4-H program. So, you know,
you really have to look at the people that you're serving.
Exactly.
And I suppose what their interests are, but you might try to interest them in something that they should be interested in, I suppose.
Absolutely. So, you know, we pride ourselves on responding to emerging issues, and part of what we're really good at Cooperative Extension is really doing needs assessments. So where are the deficits in the county? Where are the issues that need to be addressed? And we're very fortunate that we have all types of researchers and professors at Cornell University that take a look at the problems. They provide us with research and evidence-based solutions, and then we're sort of the outreach arm of Cornell or Cornell University when we take that knowledge and research back to the community.
So if the researchers, I really didn't know that. So you have researchers at Cornell, and if they think that an area really needs more focus on dietary issues and maybe, you know, farm to schools, getting the fresh produce in the schools, they would identify that. it probably is a problem all over the state.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm not fine-tuning Putnam, but I suppose that's what they come up with, statistics?
Absolutely, absolutely. So, for instance, we'll take, and your points are absolutely valid. They're much more universal than something like when Lyme disease maybe moved over from Connecticut into Putnam County, and then up at the university, those professors that had an extension appointment started focusing on, hey, there's an overabundance of ticks in the area, people are getting bitten, and then provided us with that research-based information to protect ourselves, to deplete the tick populations in the area. So yes, anything like that.
I know I've seen pamphlets that you've had, to deal with the tick issue. So, and not all the state of New York does have a tick problem.
Correct.
So, and I guess we probably have the tick problem this summer, don't we? Is it going away?
You know what? I've already picked 2 ticks off of me and a few off my dog. So yes, they're coming. They're fast and furious.
Right. So that happens. Let's talk about. I mean, the part I guess I love the most about cooperative extension are plants.
Okay.
Flowers.
Sure.
We'll talk about vegetables too, but. I'm one of these gardeners, and I'm a gardener with flowers. And I know you have a master, I've never been a master gardener, but you have programs that really, I assume you have programs for young people just to get them to love planting and flowers and so on. And then you have it for more experienced people, and so you have gradations of how you train people and teach people?
Sure. We have programming that reach all avenues on the spectrum, on the continuum. We have definitely gardening for young children, and we have novice adults, and then we have experienced adults. And so gardening and horticulture are really one of the more popular programs that we have at Putnam County. And I think you were starting to comment on the Master Gardeners, and the Master Gardeners are a cadre of volunteers. Currently we have 86 of them, and they go through a very intensive learning year, if you will, to really gain that knowledge to be called Master Gardeners. And then our Master Gardeners do things from manning our garden helpline, so people can call in or email with any questions that they may have related to their soil or flowers. They can bring foliage and vegetation into our office to be identified. We have lots of community service pop-up activities across the county. Ask a Master Gardener. They really are, they allow us to be able to reach more constituents of Putnam County. So it's a train the trainer model, if you will.
So they can probably look at a plant and say what the name of that plant is.
They sure
probably.
can.
As opposed to me just loving the plant.
Exactly. And give you really from soup to nuts, what type of fertilizer the plant would use best, how much water to give it. Is it a shade-loving or a sun-loving plant? Really all the intricacies to really grow that plant accordingly.
Now, you mentioned that you have headquarters someplace. Where does one go, if they have a leaf, if they've got brown spots on their plants and whatever, want somebody to look at it?
Sure.
You have a place for people to go?
We absolutely do. So Cornell Cooperative Extension Putnam's County office is 1 Geneva Road in Brewster. So we're up by the DMV and the Department of Health.
Right. Good location.
Yes, and our office hours are 9 to 5, and when we switch to summer hours, it's 8 to 4. So, but always call ahead of time, make sure there's a Master Gardener or an educator in the office. There usually are, but you never know when someone gets called out, and we're happy to identify, provide information, whatever needs to be done.
So do the Master Gardeners also get involved in fruits and vegetables? Or is that a different category?
Well, they can. They can. Master Gardeners really are able to gain additional information in the areas that interest them. So we have master gardeners who are experts on native plants. We have master gardeners that are experts in perennials, fruit trees, but we also belong to an additional part of cooperative extension that is the Eastern New York horticulture. And so we have experts all the way up from Albany to the Canadian border, and they provide expertise in fruits and berries and trees and those types of issues. So if someone comes to our extension or phones in and we don't have the exact answer, we know exactly where to go to get the answer.
Right. And so you said that it would take somebody almost a year to become a master gardener. It takes a while, a lot of courses.
It does. I think there's like 19 or 20 modules, and really the volunteers that go through the master gardener training, it's like a college course. Really, there's homework. They have to give presentations. They need to have so many hours where they're answering calls and doing some research. It's really a wonderful but laborious process. And once you become a master gardener, you're in for life. Seriously.
Oh, I admire them when I hear that they are.
You know, I think we had talked about before, one of the questions came up as to the longest volunteer. And so our longest volunteer in Putnam County is 37 years, and he's a master gardener.
Oh, wow.
And he's still out there working with the community.
Right, which is great. All right, let's talk about our children and our fruits and vegetables and you know, I guess you probably have programs to let them know that it just doesn't grow in the supermarket.
Yes.
Pick up an apple or whatever, that you really do that kind of training where all of our food comes from.
Sure. You know, and that's one of the issues that as we become more technology-based society for our youth who spend a lot of screen time, it really prevents those youngsters from spending time in the wild and in nature. And so one of the things that we've been focusing on for more of the inner city schools or, you know, more metropolitan schools is really learning where your food comes from. And that could be as simple as taste testing. Have you ever had this before? Do you even know what it is? To starting a school garden, working with the school personnel, to teaching programs out in the community. And one of the programs that has happened over the last couple of years in Brewster is called From Seed to Supper. And it is a nutrition education and gardening combined program that work with families and youth together to grow and learn about the food and nutrients, and at the end of the program, what they grew, they harvest and they eat as a meal.
I guess we're probably doing more of that with community gardens.
Yes.
I don't know whether what you're talking about is considered a community garden, but well, the schools are doing community gardens,
right?
But people outside the schools are also doing that.
Absolutely. So yes, many of the schools in our area have school gardens, and then there are several community gardens. In fact, we take care of and sort of oversee one of the community gardens that's on the property across from Tilly Foster. And people purchase plots, and we have our master gardeners go out, and some of our staff go out and work with the individuals, and again, to assist them with planting the seeds appropriately, how they weed, how we water, and then, you know, when is it time to harvest? And if some of the plantings are unusual plantings, then provide recipes. So this is the product of your labor, and here's how we can prepare it so you can enjoy it.
And that's terrific, because not everybody has a plot at home. And they may live in a place where actually there might be a plot but no sun.
Right, right.
You might need some sun.
Right.
So it does, and I know people that have done community gardening find that they meet so many wonderful people in that process.
Yes, it's a learning as well as a social engagement, for sure.
Right.
So.
Which is really great. So now I know that you've also you look to see what the community wants, and I know you have fishing programs, and I'm thinking about Putnam County. There are a lot of lakes in Putnam County. I don't know whether, obviously in New York City, I think it's a little hard to do fishing programs unless people brought the kids out or adults out. But probably that's been a very popular sport, I would think.
It has been filled to maximum capacity historically, and we do run fishing clinics, one that happens to fall the weekend of the fair, and then they have another fishing clinic in the spring. And we are very fortunate that we have gentlemen from local sportsmen clubs who offer as volunteers their time to teach youth how to fish and, fishing habits and the ecology of the water and the fish as well. And the two clinics that we offer actually happen right at the Memorial Park in Putnam. So.
Now, do they get to keep the fish, or is that they get thrown back into, whatever?
Catch and release.
Catch and release sounds much better.
Yes, gently released. Yes, they don't. It's just the spirit of actually throwing the line in and catching a fish and, reel it in, take a look at it. Maybe they measure it. They instruct the youth on how to properly remove the hook from its mouth and then release it back into nature. But it's exciting whether you get to keep the fish or not.
It's exciting when you have a fish at the other end of your
line.
That's
right, when your bobble goes down.
And sometimes that's very hard to find, and you may have to sit there for quite some while. Patience is something that you also teach with the fishing. So, so is that once during the summer that you do that, or?
Yes, we have a clinic in the spring, and then we do it on the Saturday during the 4-H fair, which is always held the last weekend in July.
Right. So I know, I think there were some pictures with butterflies and bees and those kinds of things. So what are you teaching the children or adults? Because not all adults know everything. So I'm sure you teach everybody.
That's right. We actually do. We do. So I think the pictures that you're referring to have to do with the pollinator garden. And so anybody who is interested in plants and knows about pollination has probably heard in the news recently that the bee population is going down and that certainly can play a role in food production. And so a researcher or several researchers at Cornell University have started to really figure out what types of plants will actually draw the bees in. And so our local extension educators at Putnam County received a grant to actually work under the professor to create a pollinator garden. And then from there, they took a 3D video of it and put it online where consumers can log on, check it out, learn a little, take a look and see what the flowers are and what plantings will be most suitable for bees.
It's so interesting. I remember getting, I have an area in Croton that does Postcard Tuesdays, and I got a couple of postcards on the bee issue. And I hadn't really thought about it. I think it came, when it was snowing outside, and I hadn't really thought about it. But then I realized, yes, we're losing our bees, and that is a major problem for us.
Absolutely. I mean, that's how our plants
move around.
Exactly,
right?
Exactly.
So is that, what is the rationale? Are we going into this whole issue of greenhouse gases or climate change? Do you think that's what's impacting the bee population, or? Well, it's certainly impacting other kinds of animals and so on.
And produce.
And produce, right?
Absolutely. So, You know, our educators take a look, like I said, at those emerging issues and then work with professors to really bring the most appropriate and current data back to Putnam County. Some of the programs that our educators have been working on specifically for climate change are programs called Climate Smart Communities, and that is where businesses, local businesses, and communities, including agriculture, really receive information and knowledge to assist them if a severe storm comes. And examples of that might be working with apple growers in our area, which is very popular, working with professors to see which apples actually can sustain an early or a very late frost. So maybe we have to start changing the types of apples that we grow. One of the other things that our educators work with, along with our master gardeners, is really providing education to homeowners and other individuals about stormwater and buffer planting. And that, of course, helps when we have a myriad of rain. It helps mitigate that rain. And that's really important because we want to make sure that we keep our water quality safe. And in Putnam County, we have about 25% of our area is covered for the New York City watershed district.
Right,
so,
right. And there are also times of drought.
Absolutely.
So, you know, if people can save some of the rainwater for a period of time.
Yes.
That's
yes.
So I think, you know, I do remember that I think you give courses on that. Do you? I don't know whether you're still doing that.
Yes,
do you? Yes?
The rain barrels. Yes, and so absolutely. Again, a practical information for a solution that we may have to engage in our area. I know that educators in the past have definitely worked with parks, I think, and maybe even the Department of Health to actually provide classes on making rain barrels.
Well, I tend to think, or if the science says that we are having hotter, our degrees are going up, you know, slightly every year, but after a while, I keep thinking that we're going to be having the same plants that South Carolina has right now at some point, and that may be true.
You probably are not far from the truth, and you're absolutely right. Even though it may be a small increase in temperature, but over time, it really adds up to degrees that perhaps we in the Hudson Valley are not used to. And so, yes, when you look at where our growing areas are, we might be looking in the next, 2 decades or so at plants that would be further south, would be the norm.
Right, so a lot of education that you're going to have to do, or
Yes.
we'll have to learn.
Yes.
That's for sure.
Yes.
One of I think one of the most wonderful things that you do in the summer, it's in July, and you have this wonderful 4-H fair, and it's just so much fun. It's so country, it's so different. It's not like a Disneyland or anything like that. It's you walk in and I don't know, you have pony rides and you have sheep and people have been growing tomatoes, bigger tomatoes, they've been judged. We've got bunnies running around that people have on their own and plants for sale, and it's just such a wonderful fair, and I'm assuming that happens this year.
Yes, it does, and thank you for saying all those nice things about our fair. We do really appreciate the fact that people come out year after year after year, because we are a true wholesome agriculture, good old country fair.
Right.
Without the rides or anything that other types of events might have. And so the fair this year is the 26th, 27th, and 28th of July. It's always the last weekend in July, and we anticipate again this year having a very successful fair.
Right, and I know that you have, sheep, llamas. I mean, I guess every year might be a little different.
Depending on what animals we can secure. But
Right.
yes, we've had llamas in the past. We're hoping, we have a great partnership with Green Chimneys, and we're hoping that their camels are well this year, so we can bring camels to the fair.
Were they not well last year?
Apparently they weren't. I just learned this. They had a little stomach virus.
Right.
But yes, rabbits and goats and sheep and cows and pigs and horses, yes, chickens, all types of poultry animals. It is definitely what you think of as a good old-fashioned agriculture fair.
And what's so wonderful is that the young people involved with 4-H are there often explaining
Yes.
their pet or what they've done or their project or their report. And it's wonderful for all ages actually to attend. So I would encourage everybody that's watching to go to the fair.
Absolutely. But you're right. The fair is really the showcase that provides the youth who have participated all throughout the year to be able to show off their skills and everything that they've learned.
We haven't really discussed, but when do these young people get together? Is it after school, weekends, summer, or all of the above?
All of the above. So we have traditional 4-H groups that usually meet once a week or sometimes once every other week. There's an adult sponsor or adult volunteer, and those could be very specific types of clubs. So maybe it's a robotics club, maybe it's a goat club, maybe it's a Lego club. And then we have sort of one-time events where 4-H youth can get involved with, and that would be perhaps maybe the fishing clinic that we spoke about. There are also opportunities for youth to participate in community service when they get to be teenagers. That's our TAG program, or our teen advocacy group. We have opportunities for youth of all ages to participate in something called public presentations.
That is a wonderful skill to develop.
Absolutely, absolutely. Also, students have the opportunity to go to Cornell in the summer for 3 days for a program called Career, I forget what it's called.
Career opportunities.
Career opportunities, where they go and talk to people about different types of jobs and careers that they could partake in. I'm trying to think.
That's interesting, and we're talking about kids from age what to what?
5, I think 5 to 8 is something called Clover Buds. So that's the younger children, younger youth, and then above that it's their 4-H youth.
Right.
So.
Well, it's just such a wonderful program. Now, where can people contact 4-H or Cooperative Extension so that they can find out about all these programs?
Sure. So our website is one place for them to go. They can call our office. They can pick up a brochure anywhere, but really if they're really interested in participating in a class or to find out more information, then check out our website and to call us on our phone.
Right. Well, Stefanie, I mean, you've just explored Cooperative Extension in such a great way, and hopefully we've gotten a lot of enthusiasm on the part of the viewers. And whether you want to go to the fair, be a master gardener, or whether you want to involve your children or your grandchildren in this, it's a wonderful opportunity.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much.
Letting
us share.
Right. I thank you so much for being on the program. If there are any questions at all, please don't hesitate giving me a call at 914-941-1111. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good evening. Thanks.